2, 1, 0.
Jai Shri Krishna. Welcome back, everybody. Today, I want to look at Lord Rama, that guy sitting right here next to me, or standing right here next to me. I want to look at his rules or advice for people in government. He was talking about kings, but this can be applied to other folks. And the assumption is that these rules are from a Vedic perspective. I thought this was really interesting. Some of you may be familiar with this, some of you may not be, but I thought it was well worth diving into. So what I'm going to be looking at today is Canto 2 of the Ramayana. So I'm in the process of recording for this channel the entire 7 volumes of Valmiki's Ramayana. So this is not a prose translation, but a verse by verse by verse translation. I don't know, 1,000 something pages. And I'm recording it all here. This won't be up till next year, though. And when I saw this bit in Canto 2 over this past weekend when I was recording it, I was like, I can't wait, 6 months or maybe more than that for you guys to see this. This is just so awesome. We should share this. I think it'd be really interesting. So it's Canto 100 that we're going to be looking at. And if you have read an abridged version, I'm pretty sure that this has been shrunk down. Or maybe not. Maybe in abridged versions this is there. So you might actually be more familiar with this than I am. This is my first time reading the Ramayana, so I wasn't. And I've read bits and pieces of an abridged version. Not this part, obviously. So this might be new for you. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's old. Maybe you've seen it in different form. I don't really know, but it's well worth looking at again. So this is like I don't know, maybe 70 something rules or bits of advice for leaders. You can decide which word you may prefer. Some of these things I think are more rules and some are more bits of advice. They come and go. And it's all from Rama's perspective as he talks to his brother Bharata from the forest. And we're going to start. We're going to see how far we get. And we will pick up wherever I've left off next week in our next show. And if need be, we'll drag this out into a third episode. I'm not going to dig into every single point, and we're not going to go on and on in discussions, which I can totally do, I'm sure, if I tried. I just really want to share this with you and let it sit in your brain and let you meditate on it on your own, and you can feel free to comment on it. I may run by some of these points really fast. I may spend some time with some. I don't know. I just know that this was really interesting when I read it the first time. I just hope that it's really interesting here as I read it the second time. So, let's dive into Canto 100. Now, there is a link down below to a version that I found so you can follow along with me. And this is Valmiki's Ramayana, so it was the version that I was reading last week. To set the stage, this is his book 2 called Ajodhya. And Rama has been banished to the forest for 14 years. We'll get into the who, what, when, or why. You can wait till next year to find out if you don't already know why. But he hasn't been gone that long. I don't know, maybe a couple weeks at tops. And maybe a month or so. It's not a very long period of time. But in that time, his father, who was the king, has died. And his brother is to be installed as the new king of Ajodhya. Now, this was done via his brother's mother. So they share father, but not. The king has many wives. There. His brother, Bharata, is told to come to Ajodhya. Doesn't know why. He shows up, and they're like, oh, your dad's dead. Here's your mother. And your brother and your other brother Lakshmana and your brother's wife Sita are living in the forest for 14 years, and you're going to be the new king. Rock on, dude. And he's like, excuse me? Really? What the? by the way, did you just tell me my father's dead? Holy shit. And it's just this massive breakdown that lasts for like half this chapter. And he's just like, I didn't ask for this. I don't want this. And it's not even right. This isn't tradition. It should be the oldest son, Rama, Lord Rama. And I'm not even. My brother is Lord Rama, so even if I'm not the oldest son, he should be king. So Bharata takes the army, it's like 10,000 people, it's some massive thing or whatever, and they go into the woods. It's a little unbelievable, all these people, they go into the woods to find Rama and to bring him back so he can be king. That's the plan. Now, this is book 2 out of 7, and, well, I would like to say what comes next, but no. No foreshadowing. And I actually don't even know because I've not read the full Valmiki version yet. So that's where we are. And what has happened as we hit chapter 100 is Bharata has come to his brother's little hut that has been built. And he's seeing his brother and he's in tears and he's like, oh my God. And this chapter is sort of Rama's, hello, what's going on, dude? Hey, bro, what's up? Catch the new season of Strange Things? Yeah, this is his hello. Whereas in most of us, I like if I see my brother, I'd be like, oh, so have you ever watched Game of Thrones? So we can talk about it. Rama talks about government, and so when I say it's his hello, it is and it isn't, but this is how he greets his brother. And it's a fascinating way of greeting his brother because it's more than just hello. It's more than just, so, what's going on with you? How's things? It's more than that. It's like, oh, I want to give you advice. I'm your older brother because I want your life to be amazing because I'm like living in the forest. It's fascinating. We could talk about this response, but I don't want to go there. I want to go into the particulars of what he says for governing. So let's dive in, and I'm just going to read the little introduction, not the introduction, but the opening line so we get the full chapter. Before I do, let me put 2 thoughts into your head. So as you're listening to me recite and talk, here's 2 thoughts that 2 themes we'll answer over the next bit of time. One is, are these bits of advice actually good? Are they going to be helpful? Or in the 1,000+ years since Lord Rama walked this earth, have we discovered in all the forms of government that we have had that, no, that doesn't actually work out? Okay. And then, so the second thing is to consider, if we have something here, and it is actually good, it still is valuable, are our leaders doing this today? Should they do this today? Would it make our world better? So I'm in America. I have President Joe Biden. You may be in Canada with Justin Trudeau. You may be in India with Modi, or under King Charles III, or wherever you are. I don't know if this will work for you or your country. I'm not too sure. So I'm going to stay a little bit vague on that. I can't answer that second question so well because it's going to be different from every country. We all have different issues. We're not all the same. We're dealing with different things. So maybe what would work for Joe Biden won't work for Prime Minister Modi. So that one's sort of up to you. But let's dive in and let's see what this says. And hopefully you will find this just as fascinating as I did when I read it. I don't know. Well, it's Thursday and I read it on Saturday. I haven't looked at it since, though. So here we go. So starting with the first verse. Rama saw Bharata with matted locks, wearing bark robes and with joined hands, laying on the ground, incapable of being seen as the sun at the time of the dissolution of the world. Rama recognized with some difficulty his brother Bharata, whose face became pale and who was emaciated, and took him by the arm. Smelling the crown of his head, placing him on his lap, Rama, who was born in the Raghu dynasty, embraced Bharata, and with an absorbent mind inquired of him as follows. My darling, where is our father that you have come to the forest? He being alive, you ought not to come to the forest. So this relates to the Ramayana, no need to comment on this. I see you after a long time, coming from a far off distance, wearing a mournful face into this forest. Alas, why have you come to the forest, my darling brother? My dear brother, is the king alive that you have come here? I hope the miserable king has not, indeed, departed to the other world all of a sudden. Obviously, Rama has not been given the news of his father yet. Verse 7. Oh, gentle brother, I hope the eternal kingdom has in no way suffered from your youthful experience. My darling, are you rendering service to our father who is truly valiant? So here he says, my darling, the Sanskrit is tata, T-A-A-T-A. I don't know if this is the best translation, but we're just going to say my darling. In modern English, I don't know if you'd call your brother darling, but we'll let that go, so just ignore that. He says here the eternal kingdom. I'm not too sure if so this is actually the Sanskrit, which is above it if you want to go on the website, is Shashavatam Rajyam, so permanent kingdom. And I'm guessing that is not so much reference to the city of Ajocha, so the physical kingdom, but the spiritual realm, karma. Might be wrong on that. And in that case, if I am wrong, just to put the small print in, there's a note to be made here of the eternal kingdom of Ajocha. It's going to last forever. Let's just say that's what this means. He's basically saying, is your youthful experience effing things up? Which is something to consider with politicians, because nobody becomes a politician necessarily with experience as a politician. You don't build yourself up. Well, you might start as mayor or something, but to start as even mayor, well, you're going to city council, but where do you just jump in, and you probably burn a lot of bridges and learn a lot. And if you're young, you don't have a lot of world experience. So there's something here about being young and not having experience for profound positions. So should we have a 20-year-old or a 25-year-old right out of college being elected mayor? Do they not have enough life experience? Is their youthful experience causing suffering? I don't know. Now, on the other hand, we have old people in office. Here in America, Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Diane Feinstein, who I believe absolutely should be retired because they're no longer mentally cognizant. Particularly Diane Feinstein, who doesn't even know what's going on, and she is told what to do. So there's a little window here that perhaps, if that's how this is defined. Let's move on. Verse 8. I hope that the king Dasartha is well, he who is true to his promise, he who performs Rajasuya and Ashvamedha sacrifices, and he who has a righteous resolve. The Ashvamedha sacrifice is the horse sacrifice, the famous horse sacrifice. My darling, and here we go. Are you treating respectfully as before that preceptor of the Ikshvakus, the one who knows the sacred scriptures, the one who knows, this seems to be repeating, the one who knows the sacred scriptures, the learned who constantly keep up the virtues, and he who has a great splendor? Basically, are you treating your father well, who knows the scriptures, and who has great virtues and has great splendor? Not so much government oriented, but we're getting closer. My darling, I hope that Kausalya and Sumitra, having good offspring, are happy. I hope the venerable queen, Kaikeyi, his mother, or Bharata's mother, is rejoicing. I hope that the preceptor, who is rich in humility, a son of a noble family, who has a knowledge of many scriptures, is an unenvious person, and who is full of insight, is duly honored by you. I hope that a Brahmin, okay, here we go, who is versed in the traditions, who is intelligent and just, employed in your sacred fires, always informs you in time about a sacrificial fire having been or going to be fed with oblations. Okay, so now we're getting into, we've moved beyond family and the king who has passed away, and now we're getting into the government. And this is the part that really excited me. So, Lord Rama is asking, is there a Brahmin, a religious leader, who is letting you know about the proper times to do your sacrificial fires? That's an interesting thing. It's not up to the king to keep the calendar. It's up to his folks going, oh, we need to do this now. This is important. It's time to, honor this god or honor that. It's very interesting. So obviously today we don't do this. Maybe there's countries that have things like this. I guess Muslim countries would have something like this. So in that case, for the countries that do have religion tied in with their government, is your religious leaders working with your government to let them know, hey, we need to do this and we need to do this? Are they keeping your government abreast? Because if they're not, that means these spiritual things will not happen. My darling, I hope that you are holding in high esteem the gods, your ancestors, dependents, and teachers of your father's age, the doctors and the Brahmins. So are you honoring your ancestors? The teachers, the wise ones? That's interesting to me. Because personally, here in America, I don't think we do. When was the last time a presidential candidate talked about our veterans? Well, Trump does, and Vivek does. But many candidates have sort of ignored veterans. They're old people. You can't tell an 80-year-old man that men can get pregnant. So we have decided to ignore them, to shuffle them off the earth. During the COVID in New York City, they put people who were sick with the old people and killed many. It's horrible. This is how we treat our old people. Sorry, it's a pet peeve of mine. We treat them horribly because we can't brainwash them. We don't respect our old people anymore in this country. I know it sounds like a conspiracy theory, but please look at how our government has treated the old people over the last few years. We don't talk about our veterans. We don't talk about our senior citizens. We talk about, the kids. When the bug was happening, it was all over. Our old people are the biggest at risk. The old people. And the next response was, so we have to jab our kids, not the old people. No, let them suffer alone and don't let them near family and don't give them funerals. We don't care about old people anymore in the West. We really, really don't, because we can't brainwash them. We can't use them. They're stubborn. They're whatever. It really pisses me off. Them and veterans. We don't care. We don't honor them. We don't honor the teachers who have things to say, who have wisdom they can still give us even if they're old. We don't do that. Continuing with Lord Rama. Oh, my darling, I hope that you treat with due respect Sudhandva, your teacher in archery, who is furnished with the most excellent arrows and darts and well versed in political economy. It's the same theme as where we've been. I hope that ministers who are valiant like you, learned, masters of their senses of noble birth, and skilled interpreting internal sentiments by external gesture, are assigned to you. So, ministers who know their shit. That's what this says. And are noble, they're outstanding, and they're skilled. Do you have ministers who are skilled around you? Do you in your country have that? Not too sure. I don't think we always do. And what is the outcome of having ministers who don't know their stuff? So far, I haven't hit anything that doesn't make sense and doesn't work. Maybe you disagree. We're only on going into verse 16, and I'm hitting these very jumpy, I know. But so far, there's nothing here that's like, oh, God, no, he's totally off. No, this is just like common sense. Thousands of years old? I don't actually know when this might have happened. I don't know the dating on the Ramayana, but at least 2,000 years, 3,000 years Common sense. Common sense doesn't change. It really doesn't. Even though society and everything else does. Let's go into verse 16. The source of victory for kings indeed comes from a concealed counsel by ministers who are well versed in political sciences and who can hide their thoughts within themselves. This is a very interesting one. So, first of all, a king or any leader is victorious by ministers who keep to themselves. They are concealed. Um, so they're not, making everything public. They're not twittering every thought. And that's the next step. They're not twittering every thought they had. Some of it they keep to themselves. I think that'd be a really nice thing if some of our politicians kept some things to themselves. Honestly. How many politicians are probably ruining their reputations by having to put, oh, what is this? I have no idea what it is. And I'm going to ask all of you on TikTok. What? It's a garbage. It's a sink disposal unit? Huh? Just keep things. Be quiet. Be quiet sometimes. This is common sense. Verse 17, I hope you do not fall a prey to an excess of sleep and do wake up at appropriate times. I hope you contemplate during the later half of the night about the adroitness of an action. So are you a sloth? Do you sleep too much? Or do you keep a good schedule? And do you think about your actions after the fact? That's just common sense. Just common sense. I hope that you do not I hope you do not deliberate alone, nor indeed with numerous men. I hope your decision arrived at by you through such deliberation does not flow to the public even before it is carried out. So essentially, don't make all your decisions alone, but also don't have too many advisors. Find a select group. I will recommend Bobby Kennedy's book 13 Days as an example of this exact thing. Verse 18. So this book was published after his death, and it's the retelling, the day-by-day, sort of day-by-day retelling of the Bay and Pigs invasion. Potential World War III, and what his brother, John F. Kennedy, was dealing with. And it's very fascinating because he would keep things to himself and he would be alone, but at the same time he would ask for others. And he did find, according to Bobby, that there were moments when he had too many advisors around him. None of them could agree, but he needed to do something now. He couldn't wait for everyone to agree. It would never happen. So he had to sometimes find 2 or 3 men who could, these are my few men, they're going to know everything. But if we need extra help, then you know what? I'll call in somebody else when we need it. And it was an interesting balance of doing that, but also contemplating alone. And then deliberating, okay. And also the key was, it was secret. Bobby writes in the book, had any of this gone up before the Senate or Congress or the House of Reps, it would have been in the news instantly, and Russia would have known what we were doing and preempted it and potentially made things worse. You don't want everything in the news. It's like, I'm going to secretly attack that village tonight on the news. Secret attack is planned. Well, now you can't do it. You've just destroyed everything. There's another book I will recommend. It's George W. Bush's book. I need to look behind me at the shelf. I don't remember the name of it. Decision Points. Decision Points. The top shelf right there. You can see Rock and Roll Elvis Presley is my political books that I have here. I have like 2 boxes in storage of presidential history books, and then some down below. Or I just love presidential history. But Decision Points by Bush actually talks about one of the problems they had with Afghanistan and the war, and Saddam Hussein was making sure things didn't get on the news. And he said what happened was we would put things before Congress, or we would have too many advisors, or things would go before people who weren't in the White House, other politicians other than the cabinet and vice president or whatever, and it would get on the news. And he goes, we were screwed. And now everyone's like, oh, how can you do that? But he goes, I didn't do it. I didn't do anything. But it got on the news, and it was a mess. It was a training. He goes, we had to backtrack on stuff because it got on the news. We would do something, but they already knew. He goes, my actions would be criticized before I'd even done them. It was horrible. And in the age of social media, this is really a problem. But there are times when we should put things in the news. But, according to Rama, but I don't know, what would he say about Twitter and all this? He didn't have TV. Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Verse 19. Oh, Bharata, I hope, considering your interest fully, you launch an undertaking which has maximum benefit with minimum cost, and indeed do not delay it further. Uh, so it doesn't specify what undertaking this is, except please launch something, do something that has great benefit, that won't cost you a lot, and just do it. Go out. A lot of politicians, they do launch things, great undertakings. Do they have maximum benefits though? Question. And is it at minimum cost? Question. You know the answer. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Verse 20. I hope the other kings know your entire undertakings only after they have been successfully completed, as well as those which have taken a shape, but not your proposed undertakings. This goes right back to what I said about George W. Bush. Things would get out, and then he'd be criticized, and he couldn't do it, and it would look bad because, like, well, why are you doing that? It was like, no, it was just an idea we were discussing. I can't do the George W. Bush, so you're safe from a bad imitation. Um, he. He says in this book he would have to defend himself against proposed ideas, but it didn't translate to the public as a proposed idea. It translated as, oh, this is what you're doing. No, it was supposed to be a secret. Things shouldn't have come out. And then he was working with Tony Blair, so he'd be like, do I even tell Tony Blair? It's an interesting thing. It's a really good book. The New York Times actually said that George W. Bush's biography was actually good, and they hate George W. So that's something. If you're interested in reading it, I do recommend it. It was good, and he's pretty straightforward and pretty honest. For what you can expect. Verse 21. My darling, I hope that others are not knowing by their inquiries or strategies or by any other approaches not mentioned the details of discussions you make with your ministers. Basically the same theme. I hope you solicit for one wise man rather than for 1,000 stupid. Sorry, this is just this English here. I hope you solicit for one wise man rather than for 1,000 stupid ones. For a wise man can be of great help to you in difficult matters. The Sanskrit is murkanam, which literally translates to 1,000 stupids. And then it's 1,000 stupids for, comma. It should be 1,000 stupids, comma, for a wise man. That's, sorry. Basically, do you solicit the advice of 1,000 stupid people? Or do you go to someone who's actually smart who can help you? Even if a king employs thousands or tens of thousands of fools, they will not be helpful to him. Verse 24. Even one wise, valiant, sagacious, and efficient minister alone can cause to secure a great prosperity to the king or to one who enjoys royal authority. One wise man or woman. I hope that superior servants are assigned superior works only, mediocre servants in mediocre works, and inferior servants in inferior works. This is a line that bothers me. I'm guessing that this refers to the caste system. But again, this is something that we don't have in America. I do not have a caste system here, and to try to compare the caste system, it doesn't really quite work. But also, how do you figure out? So you're a superior servant, and that's actually the Sanskrit is servant. I don't really know how to translate that. So superior servant, you get superior work, a mediocre servant, and then you're just an inferior fool. So you get like inferior stuff because you're not very good. But maybe if I gave you better, maybe you'd become good. You see, this is where it bothers me. And how do I know what is superior? Maybe there's someone who's a administrator, but they're actually lousy at their job. But because they're administrator, have you ever had that? A boss who's absolutely lousy? And like, how did that person become the boss? They don't know what they're doing, but they're supposed to get all this honor because they're the boss. So technically, they have the great position, but they're not good at their job. This one bothers me. And also, not that I'm a Marxist, but the inferior servants to do inferior work, that's mind numbing. Oh, well, you're not very good, so I'm just going to give you, just here, stuff some envelopes. No, give them more. Give them a purpose to live. Maybe they can become good. It's like everything else. Maybe if you teach a man to read, he can learn how to read. But if you assume, well, I guess you don't know how to read, so you're a loser. This one I don't get. And as the Marxist thing, it says that there's a disconnect from the workers and what they're doing. You need to invest the workers in their work, and this goes against that. This is just like throwing it away. So this line, verse 25, is the problem. It's one of the problem lines I have here. In modern society, in America, 2023, I'm not too sure about that. Okay, verse 26. I hope you are appointing those ministers who are eminent, incorruptible, born of the fathers, and bearers of good family, and who are full of integrity in matters of great importance. Actually, four, sorry, this is a mistake here. It says born of the fathers and four bears. Bears. But it should be four bears of good family. And then full of integrity. So in modern society, you don't necessarily have to be, in America, you don't have to be born of a good father. You don't even know my father. You may think I'm a good person, no. Or maybe I'm a bad person, but I have a good father, so it doesn't matter. But the other part of this is really great. Are you appointing those ministers, advisors, whoever, who are incorruptible? And in America, a lot of them are corrupted by big pharma and big corporation, Hollywood elites, and others who have money, who want votes. We know that. We know that our elections are bought and paid for by big corporations. Just look at Bob Dole and the Cheetah Banana thing. Everyone was wondering why when Bob Dole ran for president was he always talking about Cheetah Bananas, because they bought him out. This is something we don't do today. Our governments are corrupt, absolutely corrupted. And then moving down the sentence, are your people full of integrity in matters of great importance? No comment. Just no comment. I'm going to go on a rant if I comment. Verse 27. Oh, Bharata, I hope your ministers do not watch as mere witnesses, while your subjects in the kingdom, wielding, tremble with great fear under your inflexible wielding of the scepter. I'm not sure how. Scepter probably is both literal and figurative here, and we don't really have scepters anymore, so we would have to interpret this somewhat figuratively. And so I hope your ministers do not watch as mere witnesses, so I guess don't sit back while you're... okay. Don't... If you are being inflexible and you're wielding your authority, figuratively the scepter, and you're being inflexible, and your subjects, your people, are in fear, do your ministers sit back and go, oh, I'm just going to watch? Or do they take an active role? Do they stand up? Do they say something? Depends on where you live and the situation. Verse 28. I hope those who perform the sacrifice do not hold you in contempt, as one who accepts terrible gifts, as one who has fallen, as women hold in contempt of those highly lustful men. Let's go move on from this one. He who does not slay a physician skilled in ways and means of aggravating a disease, a servant intent on bringing disgrace, and a valiant warrior seeking kingly power, is himself slain by them. So if you don't kill the doctor who makes the disease, kill the servant who brings disgrace, and kill the warrior who wants to be king, well, you'll be killed by them. Figuratively, maybe literally, depending on what country you live in, this could be a thing. Figuratively, are you not punishing those who should be punished? And if you don't punish them, you will become the victim of your own negligence. I hope an army chief who is cheerful, wise, courageous, valiant, well-behaved, born in a good family, who is beloved by his subordinates and efficient, is selected by you. good HR decisions. I hope those warriors who are excellent, strong, skilled in warfare, whose excellent actions were seen before, and the most courageous ones are duly honored and respected by you. Remember what I said at the beginning, we don't care about our veterans anymore? There it is. Care about your veterans or your current army, your current soldiers. Respect them and honor them. And we don't do that. It's such a pet peeve. I have a long Navy history in my family going back to the U.S. Civil War. I have at least three relatives who fought in the New England in the Yankee Navy. Just horrible, horrible place to be. I don't know what point in time. I don't remember. Or where they were or whatever, but they served in the Navy, and then from there on, lots of Navy boys. And my grandfather was a tank commander in the Army, and I have Marines, and I have a cousin who's like a 25-year Navy guy. So big, big, big military family, and I really honor the vets that way. I think killing is horrible, but if they've put their lives up for my country and my life, so I honor them because they're willing to lay down their life so I may live. They deserve my honor, even though I hope they never go to war, and I think drones are great and war is just horrible. But those who have gone to fight for honorable means, I respect. Not someone who just wants to fight because they got. You understand what I mean. Let's move on. I hope you are regularly giving your army the daily provisions and a suitable salary to them without any delay. Well, if you're in North Korea, this is actually not happening. You starve in the army up there. When there is a delay in giving bread and wages, the servants become incensed against their master and become corrupt. And that is said to be a great, unfortunate occurrence. It speaks for itself. I hope all of the foremost descendants of your race, the Kshatriyas, are devoted to you, and do they lay down their lives steadfastly for your sake? I hope that a knowledgeable man living in your own country, a wise man, a skilled person endowed with presence of mind, and one who knows how to speak to the point, is selected as an ambassador by you. Are you selecting good ambassadors who represent your country well? We're going to do one more because it's a long one here, or it has a footnote that's worth reading, and we're going to end here with verse 36. It says, do you get to know through 3 spies, each unacquainted with each other, about 18 functionaries of the enemies and the 15 functionaries of your own side. So via 3 spies who don't know each other, so that way you're getting 3 stories that aren't being collaborated. Do you know of the 18 functionaries of your enemy's government? And also, do you know the functionaries of your own side? So essentially, and this one's a tricky one, it's basically saying, do you know what's going on over there and here? That's good. You should know. But this is actually telling you to spy on your own people. It's one thing to spy on the other side. We all do that. Every country does that. I'm sure every country does that. Or most countries do, or try to, or want to if they're not. But this is also saying, are you spying on your own side? Yeah, that's a little questionable, because that goes into some ethics territory. So there's a footnote here that actually lists what the 18 functionaries are. And I'm just going to read the list. Not necessarily that it's going to match with anything that exists today, but it's just interesting to see what would be the functionaries of a government in Rama's time. So this is just a historical addition. So the 18 are the chief minister, the king's family priest, the crown prince, the leader of the army, the chief warder, the chamberlain, the superintendent of gaols, the chancellor of the exchequer, the herald, the government advocate, the judge, just one, the assessor, the officer dispersing salaries to army men, payroll, the officer drawing money from the state exchequer, exchequer, to disperse the workmen's wages, the superintendent of public works, the protector of the borders of a kingdom who also performed the duties of a forester, the magistrate, this one, the officer entrusted with the conservation of waters, hills, forests, and tracts difficult to access. Wow. And that's the 18. Some of those have something, payroll, obviously, leader of the army, but then there's a few other differences here. So of the 15, it's the first three, the chief ministers, the family priest, and the crown prince. Those are excluded. So you don't have to worry about them if it's in your own kingdom. So that's what a kingdom looked like for King Lord Rama's world. One judge and one lawyer, and one person went to the bank and then gave the money for someone else to distribute. That's kind of funny. Uh, the herald, because he didn't have Elon Musk and ask. Anyways, we're going to pause there. So we're on verse 36, and we'll pick this up next time. Let me just scroll down to see what we've got. 74 verses. So this is probably going to be 2 more episodes. Hopefully this is interesting to you and it's enjoyable, and may inspire you, if nothing else, to read the Ramayana, to give it another read, to check it out again. Um, and yeah, if you don't want to do that, hang out. Starting, I'm doing this on September 28th. Starting early next year, February, maybe February, March, April, May, yeah, January, February, I will be putting up the Ramayana, all 7 books. I'm going to read them basically 2 books at a time, like 2 books, and then take like 2 weeks off to just do some little light things, and then 2 books, 2 books. Unlike this channel where I'm doing the Srimad Bhagavatam, clump, clump, clump. We're going to just do the Ramayana kind of concise because it's the way it's written. I just felt that was best. So you can hang out for X amount of months and come back in February, and I will be reading it to you. Um, and it's the complete version, not an abridged one. And I found reading it that, wow, it's just so much different than like the 125-page abridged version I had. So it's well worth getting into. And yeah, I'm gonna close here. I want to thank you for joining me and Lord Rama right here, and a really cool bit of art that I found online. And as always, please feel free to email me. Feel free to find me on Facebook. Reach out any way you might like to. I read comments, but it does take me a while to maybe get to them. Um, and so email if you actually really want a response on something right now. And yeah, I wish you the best in your spiritual journey. I hope this inspires you. Spirituality for me is more than just going to church or temple or synagogue or whatever, mosque on Sunday, and then you do a few hours and then you're done. It's more than that. Spirituality actually starts when you leave that place. It's like someone once said to me, a Zen priest said, "Yes, we sit and meditate, but Zen actually starts when you stand up. It's not the meditation. That's just the prep work. Zen is the rest of the week when we're not meditating. That for me is spirituality." And I know I got it, church and state, and what Thomas Jefferson put in the Virginia Constitution, but it's yeah, you know what I mean. Religion is everything. It's how you see the world. And it's where you find hope for tomorrow. And it's how you learn and grow. And it's what you know, don't ignore other things. Don't ignore history and politics and whatever. Bring it all in. Bring it all into the soup and mix it all up and yeah. Okay, speaking of soup, it is dinner time for me. So this is where I'm going to end the show. And I'm going to say thank you for joining me. And if you didn't notice, I have brand new glasses. Um, and bifocals. So if you see me doing this, I'm still kind of getting used to them. I just got them this week, and whole new look, different thing. You can't see them, but they're green and they're classic, and it's sort of this 1950s rockabilly thing that I basically am. My whole image is. So yes, things are different, and they're big, and I'm not used to them being big. And anyways, thank you for joining me. Thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to hearing from you next week. We'll pick up with the rest of this.